Hey everybody, this is a sort of a political video, I guess, but as I started making this, I really didn't want to make political videos or content because it's, I don't know, it's almost too negative in a sense. So this is gonna be a bit different, and but I do watch a lot of, I'm sorry, I do watch a lot of content, especially now from the US political societal commentary and content and analysis and stuff like that. I try to I just find it interesting what's happening. Let's just put it that way. But there's on the politics side, there's so much stuff going on, especially now leading up to the US elections. This is, as I'm recording, I think this is like 3 weeks away from the elections. So anyways, I've been learning new stuff about the you guys in the States, and I find some of that stuff just bizarre. So what I want to talk about is the elections themselves, not the political divide or who's bad or who's good. Everybody has their opinion on that, and it's very, even for me, I think it's very hard from the outside to get a perspective on things, because I'm sure it's different if you're born and raised in the States. You have, maybe your family was voting for this party or your friends. So you have all these influences since you were young. But I'm here in Finland and I don't have any direct relationships to the States. Now, before I start, I want to say that I have been in the US a few times. I have been, actually, I was in one project working there when I was working in this IT company back in the day, and the people there, if you're in the States, the people there are maybe the most kind and generous and helpful people I have met. And I mean this sincerely, because I was in different projects in different countries. And for me, my experience in the States has always been very, very positive. I was at the company I was working for, or we were like consultants, so the customer company and their employees there, they were so helpful. I felt like this honest thing in the US, in the culture there, that they want to give people from somewhere else, like me who was visiting, they want to give them this positive experience. They want to help, they want to tell you about the places and so on. So I still remember that. And this would have, like, just this openness, I have never experienced that anywhere else, especially on these work trips in the Europe, in Scandinavia, or in Europe, like in Germany. It's very, very different. People are way more inward turning, and I think we have a maybe this is a topic for another video, but I think we have a slightly twisted image of the American people here, and probably in a lot of other places, because you see stuff on the media that's not real, really. Even the TV shows and movies and everything. Anyway, that's another thing. I wanted to talk about the differences in elections there in the States and here. So quickly, how the elections work here in Finland. So you have the national elections for the what is it called? Like our Senate or the House. Here we have Congress, basically, I guess. So you get this piece of paper in the mail. You have the right to vote in this election. Here is here's the place and the date and time where you should vote. And then you go there, you show your ID, You go to the booth, you draw the number, they check your ID and stamp the envelope and put it there in the box, and that's basically it. And then they count the votes. A fairly simple process, and the votes are counted during the election night, the official election date. We have this pre-election that takes, I don't remember the exact dates it takes place, but it's before the official election date, which makes sense because you cannot expect everybody to make it in this one Sunday, one certain Sunday. It's usually, I think, so, but it's kind of like a tradition that most people, I think, like to vote on the official election day. It's like a tradition. So, and I have been following the U.S. politics for a few years now. Sometimes more, sometimes less. But I just find because so much, it's like watching reality TV almost. You don't need reality shows. Just watch the U.S. politics. But now that I've been watching what's going on over there, well, it's let's just put it this. How should I put it? Things are heating up, and they all already have been quite heated. Uh, so I don't know if you need any more gas to the fire there. And then you have this really, really weird stuff going on with the elections. First of all, I learned this just a few weeks ago, and I think I know a lot more about US politics than most of my friends, just because I have been watching different podcasts and talk shows and so on where people talk about this. But it was mentioned in some podcast that, oh yeah, I was in New York and I never needed to show my ID when I went to vote. And then they started talking about in the show that, oh yeah, it's very common and you they don't need they don't you don't need to show your ID when you vote and stuff like that. And they talk about different states that have that. What do you call that's the way, and I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't believe it, and I saw my friend after that, like a few days after that or something, and I told him about this, and I think this is the way there. And he told me that really that can't be the case, and I was still suspicious about that fact myself. And I said, I told my friend that yeah, I really need to check this, like triple check this, because it just seems so strange. Uh, Sorry, I lost my thought there. So, and then because this podcast I was watching, I consider them quite trustworthy. Maybe it's more on the conservative side or something like that. I don't know, but I thought at least the facts that they are telling are true. They are not going to twist them to best of their abilities. And then I just Googled like voter ID in the US elections or something like that. And it just gives you this map that, hey, these states, they don't require it, and these states do require it. And then there's even this weird stuff in the between that some states require a picture ID, some like ID without a picture or something like that. And so that's the first big thing that really surprised me, that how is that even possible? You have all this fanfare and circus and blaming and everything on the media, on the X's and Twitters and everything. But like the foundation you have been building your house, it's like seems like it's built on rubber or something when it should be made on stone. You know? So no idea. I was like, okay, so then I still don't know how does that work. I guess you have to give a name or something, and then they check if there's a name. But what if it's already? I don't know how you. But to me, that's just an obvious double check. that you have a valid ID. So that's the weirdest thing to me, because some states do require it, if I have understood correctly. And then what really bothers me, because I think I watched 2020 or 2016 or maybe even before that, like the election night, because it's quite exciting to watch, because you are the big country, the leader of the world, right? We're just this small crappy country in the Scandinavia nobody knows about except for Nokia, for those who remember. But so anyway, then there are these that you have different what's the word, different practices in different states. That, for example, if I got this right, like as of filming this, I think 3 weeks roughly until the election day, some states have closed their pre-registration and some states still have it open. Now, I don't know why you need to register to be able to vote. First of all, I think if you are an American person, you should just be able to vote with your ID, right? Because now what if you forget this registration? Then you're effed, then you don't vote, I guess. Again, if I understood this correctly, because everything seems so weird to me. Please remember that I am living in another part of the world, but I think it's quite common that this, like, showing ID is required in many countries. And then this, that you need to register to vote. And different time frames in different states. Like, why? I get that I like the idea that different states have different laws and different rules, different taxing, different rules according to relating to everything. I think that's fine. I like that idea. But this is a national election, right? And if you have the federal government or the federal thing there, shouldn't that be like, hey, this is like something that is federal, that should be the same rules for everybody? Because it's like now it's presidential election. Apparently not. So voter ID, registration to vote, and then last time around, now I don't want to get too deep into this because I don't really understand how it works, but to my understanding, people were collecting these voter slips or votes from people's homes, that I find very strange. I think you should only be able to vote on the on the ballot box, like I told you earlier in this video that we get this. You have a right to vote in the election, this piece of paper in the mail, and then there's the place where you have to vote, and there's only one place where you're able to do that. I think that's a fairly obvious good system. So this is one other thing, that you really had people going from door to door collecting votes or these voter slips. It's just so weird. And then you had this post voting, what do you call that? That you can just send your vote ballot. I'm sorry if I'm mistaking the words here, bear with me, but I hope you get what I mean, that you have this voter slip piece of paper and you just put it in the mail. Now, I don't know about your postal office there, but I wouldn't trust the Finnish post to deliver my national vote. I mean, that's crazy. And even if there was, I know there were all these accusations, but even if there was nothing harmful done by anybody, there were some votes went missing or were lost in the mail. That is obvious because stuff gets lost in the mail all the time. So why would you put your votes in the mail? I would never do that. I would do that if I was outside of Finland when the voting time is in our elections and I had to go to but even then I think you have to go to the embassy. That's like a pretty trustworthy place. So you have all these different complicated things, different in every state. Mailing your vote and about trusting the US post office, I always, that comes to my mind first, this obviously yeah, Seinfeld show where Newman is the post guy and he's just hiding all this post in this warehouse that he has because he's too lazy. I mean, I hope that you handle that post mail vote stuff better if it's still happening there. And then one final thing. Then the election night comes. And if I remember correctly, again, my mind is not the best. My memory is sometimes like that one that a goldfish has. So, but it's again, different states count the votes in different times. Like some of the states, if I remember from last election, following it a bit, it was like we have here that during election night all the votes were counted, or 90-something% were counted, and then some states continued to count the votes days after, like many days after. So even if nobody is doing anything, shady or stuff like that, that fact that it's taking so long is gonna make people nervous and it's gonna raise suspicious on either side, I think. It's so yeah, this was my observation comparing the US elections to our elections here in Finland. And I find these things bizarre. I thought the way we vote is standard everywhere, but apparently not. So, and again, this is my point of view looking outside, having been in the States multiple times, but still only as a tourist for short periods of time. My view might be, I don't know, silly or off, but having brief discussions about this topic with my friends, like the fact that I don't think a lot of people here or people at all know the fact that you don't require voter ID in many places. I have told this to a couple of my friends and they were like, what are you talking about? So maybe just my opinion here, bear with me. Just maybe before you have all this circus about who's right and who's wrong and who's doing what and who's not, just maybe fix this thing first. So you have like a solid rock foundation on the elections that there can't be any doubt. You know who's voting, you have all the votes, you know who's who, and then you count them. Just count them. It can't be that hard. We do it here. Okay, we are only 5.5 million, but I think you can scale this operation, right? Because it's done everywhere, globally. And just count the votes in a reasonable time, have a standard for all the states. I think that would calm things a bit and just make it more trustworthy. Because to me, it's how can you trust anything there? Because everything seems so weird. Like, put your vote in the mail, or somebody collects it from your home. How do you know who that guy is? How do you know? does he have some sort of I am from the government uh, ID? Oh, okay. I guess he's from the government. I mean, how does that work? And how do you vote without an ID? Oh yeah, I'm John Smith. I live in Smithson Avenue, 123. Is that how you vote? And then how do you compare those? Do you have? I don't think there's any comparison between the states or anything like that. It's just so weird. Your system is so weird. That's all I maybe have to say anymore at this point. It's getting too long, I know. But so sum it up, different set of rules in the States than we have here in Finland. And I hope that this 2024, watching what has been going on there, I really hope whoever wins, I hope it's a clear margin so we can avoid all the drama that somebody cheated or something weird happens, that the margin is just so big that the other side just says, okay, you won, congratulations, let's move on. I think that's what would be helpful, and I think that what you guys need in the US right now. That is everything. Thank you for watching, and bye bye.